I I was never planning on making like YouTuber content, gamer content is not really what I'm that into. But I had this like I saw this video and it's old, and I know this trend is a few years old, and I just had this like it's really strong desire to do it, and I was like, fuck it, put the camera on, let's just go. So if you're watching this video is unlikely to be public. It's probably unlisted, and I sent you the link. Um, but I just felt this innate desire to do this. So fuck it. We're doing tier lists. Waits for booze. Yeah, I know. I just the one. I was watching Jerma doing tier lists from a while back, back when it was popular. And he was putting up all of his favorite video game consoles, and he was reviewing them. And he was saying things that I disagreed with so strongly, so deep into my soul, that I just felt this need. This I had to rectify it. So I'm gonna add a row. I'm just gonna call it F. And I'm gonna add another row below that. And we're just gonna call that one Not a Clue. And we'll make that pink. So let's go. First things first. GameCube. S. No fucking further questions. The controller. Unmatched. Undefeated. To this day. The cute little discs. The feeling of the snap when you put the lid down. The way that the controllers feel when you put them in the ports. I still remember all of it. I still remember it. GameCube had exclusives like you wouldn't believe. If you owned a GameCube and it lived in your house, you were better for it. GameCube, S. No further questions. Your honor. I'm going to get rid of this thing because I have no idea what it is. Let's... You know what? Let's just start from... Actually, you know what? I'm going to dump some ones into Not a Clue. Oh, wait, no, that's the Video Game Boy. F. I've seen people play that. It looks fucking dog shit. Let's see which ones. Ouya, F. What's this? Sega Genesis. So Sega Mega Drive to us. I had a Mega Drive, and I knew some other people who had Mega Drives. Like, I had access to more Mega Drives than I had access to, like, the comparable SNES at the time. And I loved it, but I think I loved it because it was, the ones that I had. Streets of Rage, Altered Beast. There's some really fucking great games in there, but the control... this is going to come up. Controller is a big thing for me. I don't know. It just... There's something about the Mega Drive legacy that when I see, when they release like bundle games, you get like the PlayStation Portable version of like 20 Sega Mega Drive games. It never really got me like, oh fuck yeah. Yes, I have owned Streets of Rage on I think 8 different platforms. But that's one game. That's not the console. We're talking about the console. I'm going to put it at C for now. It may get bumped up or bumped down. But I don't think the lineage of it... And also, I don't like Sonic, so... what the fuck is that? Not a clue. Don't even recognize what that is. Super Nintendo. It's polish. Nintendo's gonna have a lot of ones up here. It's there's something about it feels good. It looks good. I love the controller. I love not necessarily the way it feels, but I love the way it looks. I think it's just something about Nintendo controllers. They just seem to fucking nail it every time. I don't know. It makes me feel good when I think about SNES games. The color palettes, the sound. Like there's just a whole load of them that even though I didn't play when I was a kid, I hear the music now, or I see visuals from it now, or you play like versions of it, like upscaled ported versions. I'm just like, yeah, fuck, what a console. Another one. If you got it in your house, you're better for it. Was that Famicom? Is that the Famicom? Is that the NES? Oh no. B. It's just the bigger brother. It's just better in every way. That one, I don't recognize that. Not a clue. That looks like that's a disk drive. Is that a Jaguar? Not a clue. Not a clue. That's another disk drive. It's that whole era of games that bridge between the cartridge games and like the PlayStation 1, like the mid 90s when I started having games of my own. I just can't comment. PS1, holy shit. I want to put it in S. I'm gonna put it in A because yes, exclusives, yes, memories, yes, Tekken, Micro Machines, Metal Gear, just an unbelievable library. But I am not a fan of the way it looks, and I'm not a fan of the controllers. I grew out of those controllers, and now when I play my PlayStation 4, I feel like I'm holding an inferior product in my hands. We'll talk about that when we get to like the Xbox stuff. But with PlayStation 1, I mean, yes, it's iconic, and yes, it's amazing. I love the way that the memory card, when you go into the memory cards in the system, it has like little icons for like stuff like that. It was incredible. It was amazing. It was awesome. But it doesn't have that joy factor to quite the level of a GameCube, where even just looking at a GameCube, I go, oh, fuck yes, GameCube. I look at a PlayStation, I go, PSX was nicer. They improved it. But that means they didn't nail it. And Nintendo tends to nail it. Another one. Is that... What the fuck is that? Another one. N64. Right. So, do I want to put it in S. Again, makes me feel good. Again, I think about the feeling of putting the cartridges in. I think about the boot up screens. I think about all that. But no, you know what? No. Controller. That controller suck a dick. Controller suck a dick. Maybe put it in B. Controllers is a huge thing for me. It's make or break. Yeah, I think B. And also a lot of there was a lot of really. I mean, there's an amazing library for the N64, but a lot of it was shite. All consoles have like shovelware and stuff, but I think a lot of the big N64 games they have died a death and have been unportable, because if you dare to go, it's the Cool Runnings effect. If you dare to go back and re-experience it, you'll realize you've been talking up something that didn't age well. B. I'm comfortable with B. Dreamcast. Shitty library. Shitty controller. I like that they took a risk with the little screen in the controller. That's the kind of steps that I like to see when I see new hardware. I remember seeing a Dreamcast in a glass container with the, one of those like arcade machines in Electronics Boutique. If it might have been then, it might have recently been converted into a game or a game station. But a friend of mine had a Dreamcast, and I'll be honest, in our group of friends, we had a lot of consoles covered. In fact, actually, a lot of the time people would buy, if they were going to get a console for like a birthday or a Christmas, the decision of which one to get was informed by which ones was available to the friend group. He had a Dreamcast, and we rarely touched it. We played a bit of Power Stone, we played a bit of this, a bit of that, but... So I'm going to put it in D. It avoids an F. It's not... Part of me thinks it's not close to these. So, you know what? I'm going to bump it up to C, because it's not closer to these than it is to these. It's in the center bit. But I may come back to that. PlayStation 2. Right. Now, PlayStation 2. Okay, so I look at that model, specifically that model, and immediately I think of the startup screen and the screen that you get when you don't have a disc in, or if the disc's unavailable, whatever, and it goes to the follow-up UI. And I just feel very good. I think about those screens, I think about the sound, I think about the feeling I got when I first got a PS2, I think about playing Final Fantasy X and going to Besaid Island and hearing the music and looking at the water and the lighting and just thinking, holy fucking shit, we have arrived. We are here in the future. PS2 looks amazing. I love the design of it. I love the font with the blue and the black. The controller was still a bit flimsy, and this was at a point when PlayStation 1 had kind of figured out, it had gone from having no thumbsticks to having the DualShock thumbsticks, and then like the rumble, it was quite heavy. PlayStation 2 kind of just went, right, we did all that work, we figured all that out, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater, let's not reinvent the wheel. Nintendo will be more likely to change everything for a new console line, and I respect that and I love it, but PlayStation have gone with the iterative. And personally, I feel like there was a big enough jump between the PS1 and the PS2 where I think back on it very, very, very fondly. But as we're going to see when I get to the later ones, that diminishes over time. PS2, A. Definitely an A. What's avoiding putting it in an S? The controller's still not quite there for me. And it never will be until they make a big change, which the PS5 controller does look amazing. I love the resistance thing that I haven't played with yet, but I love hearing about it. I love the idea of it. So hopefully, but yeah. I think personally we're beyond that. I think, yeah. Xbox original. Again, had access to several of these actually. Because my friends and I used to play up to whatever the maximum number of players on Halo 2 was, 16? 4 consoles, 4x4? That sounds about right. We would play ungodly amounts of Halo 1 and Halo 2, to the point where I would skip school. I would just straight up just not go to school. And we would all go and we'd all play Halo. It was the pinnacle of gaming at that time available to us. It was just, you don't get any better than being in a room full of people all playing the same game in different teams, and snacks, TVs, everybody's got their own individual controller, wrapping them up, unwrapping them, plugging them in. So the experience, the nostalgia I have around the Xbox is quite powerful. However, the UI suck a dick. Hate the green blob thing. The console itself look ugly as fuck. It is super ugly. And the original controller was Dreamcast level bad. I love the redesign. I think it was called the Xbox controller S. I thought that redesign was really nice and comfy, and I remember the feeling of the buttons, particularly with the black and the white buttons. But it didn't set my world on fire. It was very, like, it's not quite there. And the buttons, like, we've gone away now from clicky buttons on the front of the console, like, you know, nice snapping of switches and of closing of disc trays and cartridges and stuff. Now this is very much like it's like a DVD player. Like, you don't really have any particular love for a DVD player. Yeah, so I think it has good company in C. I don't think this is a bad C. I think this is a high C. I think this is like a C plus. But it's not quite up there for me yet. Xbox 360. I think, legitimately, until the new generation of consoles allowed your console to be like your entertainment hub, in terms of actual game time, I may have spent more time on a 360 than any other game console. I remember, I mean, this is the transition to internet. This is the transition to online gaming, to DLC, to connectivity, friends, groups, parties, watch-alongs, 1v100. It's, for me, I'm very, very big into console gaming as having a games console now that is your entertainment hub, that you hop in and out of. You play a game for 20 minutes and then you go, oh, I'm just going to change it over and watch something. Or, you know, you play a game for a couple of hours and then you're just like, all right, I'm going to flick over to Netflix and watch a movie or whatever. This was the beginning of that. And the Rock Band DLC, the connectivity, the way that the controllers were nice and easy to wirelessly connect, you know, multiple ones, dropping in, dropping out, connect, you know, assigning them to players. It just fucking worked a lot of the time. I really, really liked it. But there's more to be said. Oblivion, right? The hard drive. But the original Xbox 360 UI, it evolved over time, and the current consoles, they evolve over time because they're connected to the internet. But the original 360 UI with the blades, horrendously ugly, difficult to use, slow, sounded awful, ugly as fuck. Controller was nice, but nothing to really write home about. Not really. I don't look at the controller and feel anything. The disc tray feel like, even just looking at the disc tray, I'm like, flimsy. That shit was flimsy as fuck. The white with that kind of slight curve, it just didn't really mesh with anything, any other tech at the time. So I think as a leap from the Xbox original was humongous. It was such a fucking huge leap, and it was like the foundations for the way I play games now. It like completely transformed the way I play games. But in terms of the actual console, like the physical elements to it, not that amazing. I'm gonna give it an A because it was so transformative, but it misses out on the S because it doesn't have that level of polish that I would want. I would say it's like an A minus. I think that's fair. PS3. So PS1 I owned, PS2 I owned, Xbox 360 I owned, PS3 I got much later into the life cycle, specifically for the exclusives, and that is a pattern that I have repeated for the PS4 and will also be repeating for the PS5. So I feel like that's important information, because of course nostalgia plays a huge part into all this. But I'm trying to be honest. PS3, the original one, the one the the picture here, ugly, ugly beast, an ugly beast. I think it's disgusting to look at. I think the font on the front of it's awful. I think the fact that it was shiny meant that if it was anywhere near the TV, it would reflect off the TV, or the TV would reflect off of it. The controller is flimsy. The controller is flimsy. I didn't like where the button placement was for the disc tray. The UI was nothing for me. Just it's better than the 360, but not that much more. Some nice sound. I loved the sound around the PlayStation 3. I loved but it felt like diminishing returns. The feeling I got when I booted up a PS2 for the first time compared to the feeling I got booting up the PS3 for the first time, it's just not even close. So I'm gonna put it with the Xbox. And yes, I'm not talking about the game libraries anymore, because I think with the PlayStation 3, the library is obviously incredible. But I think when I think to the library for the PS3, sorry, I think more about the shitty shovelware than I do about the exclusives. And that's obviously how I've interpreted it. But here we go. Let's move on. The Wii. Fucking unbelievable. I mean, holy fucking shit. Revolutionized games, changed everything, changed the mainstream, changed the player base, had some amazing games in and of its own right. Did I mean, I owned it at the same time as I owned a PS3 and an Xbox 360. Did I value it above the other two? Absolutely not. But if we're talking about tier listing games consoles, I gotta put it at a solid B. I think the controller was good, but the nunchuck I didn't think felt particularly nice. The C button on the nunchuck and the way that all felt wasn't particularly nice. I didn't like that you had to feel around for, the 1-2 buttons, the minus, the plus. I distinctly remember real problems with trying to sync up and desync controllers. So if a friend comes over and you're like, oh, you can have that one. Oh, I need to open the flap on the front to press the button to sync it to the thing. And then if you have to change the batteries, you have to take that out. And there's a lot of opening of flaps and fiddling around. And then it's like certain games use the nunchuck, some didn't. And it was just, oh, where's the nunchuck? It just, yeah, never really. But in terms of things like Wii Sport, I mean, Wii Sports is like a 10 out of 10 game, right? It's just, it Nintendo polish. It just fucking works. The UI, the Mii's were great, very accessible, very easy to get into, very easy to express yourself with the Mii's. The UI itself didn't really. No, I'm not big on UIs that do tiles based on recently played. I find that frustrating. But maybe that's just because of my habits of jumping around apps and games. Their YouTube player was dog shit. Their Netflix player was dog shit. Still think it earns a B, but I think that's based off of its legacy. The Wii U, I owned a Wii U, so I can put this in a category. This is one of those old ones. I don't know. PS4. So now we're getting into the territory of like this kind of homogenous, every console is basically the same in terms of like content. Yes, there are some exclusives here and there. I have a PS4 so that I can play Naughty Dog games, for instance, which are some of my favorite games. But by this point, I haven't invested as much time into that brand as I have the Xbox brand. I have my profile on my Xbox is more robust. I have so much more like achievements, which are a big thing for me. So PlayStation 4 to me was like an exclusives player. It looks okay. It looks fine. Nothing really to write home about. The controller, once again, it's so flimsy feeling. I don't like it. I don't feel, particularly the triggers, they're so I don't want to keep saying flimsy, but they're so not robust. That's usually the way I got around that. And the biggest thing for me for the PS4 that knocks it down to a D is that UI. They use the PSP UI, the PS Vita UI, sorry. I hate it. I've hated it since day one. I've hated it every time I use it. I don't know where anything is. I don't know where anything lives. I don't know where things are supposed to be. I don't know what's the fastest way to get around. I hate the way the store is separated. I hate the way when you're in a game and you come down and then it's like another layer within a layer, but the two layers are completely indecipherable from each other. I hate the way that when you're highlighted one area, if you press right, up, down, or left, you don't necessarily know exactly where the it's going to snap to. Sometimes it's going to go straight. Sometimes it's going to go like that. Sometimes and the Xbox One didn't have this immediately, but eventually it did bring it into it, and it has completely changed it for me. If you aren't able to customize your UI, as in you're not allowed to prioritize certain apps, or you're allowed to move them around and say, okay, I want Netflix to be, when I boot my console up, I want it to be one click away because I use it that often. Catch the fuck up. I can't believe it doesn't even have that. I can't believe it doesn't have that. I can't believe it doesn't have that. Yeah. Hate that UI. Fuck that UI. Xbox One. Holy shit. I mean, I use this thing so goddamn much. It's an entertainment hub. Does everything I need it to. It's fairly customizable. I don't get adverts on it. I know Americans complain about that sometimes with it, but I don't get adverts on mine. I've laid everything out. I've put things in groups. I've organized the groups. I've made it do what I want it to do as quickly and as neatly and as organizably as possible. I fucking love the Xbox One. I think the controller is so good, especially I got the Elite controller and it's got the flappy panels on the back. Oh, it's so fucking good. There's a picture of the Kinect added to that. I don't know why the Kinect's there. That's kind of been pretty much discontinued. Yeah, I really love it. I like the way it looks. I love that like split design. Yeah, it makes a cute noise when I press the button. It goes bee dee bee. It just feels very adult. It feels very built for purpose. It's great. I have nothing but nice things to say about it. Why does it lose out on an S? Because it doesn't quite spark joy in the same way that these do. That's the short answer. It because it's built for purpose and because it's functional, that's a great purchase, but it's not necessarily a video game console that makes me feel good. I don't look at an Xbox One and feel anything. I just go, oh man, what a fucking unit. What an absolute unit. I look at the Gamecube and I go, oh man, I want that so bad. I want 10 of them. I want to hold it. I want to press the buttons. Fuck, yeah, great. Nintendo Switch. So, for my money, the Nintendo Switch has, from day one of launch, been a perfect console. When you first get your hands on a Switch and you put the controllers in and the little things from the sides go click, and then you put the left one and it goes click, there's like a little visual screen indicator to show like which ones are connected. When you take them out, it does similar things. When you turn the controller on its side and connect it that way, when you split the two apart and hand the one to another person and you connect that way, it gives you feedback for everything, and everything has been specifically designed and thought about and considered to minimize absolutely every issue that you could have. It makes it feel nice. It makes it feel worthwhile. It makes it feel good to just press those little buttons and just slide the controllers out. From a product design point of view, it's fucking perfect. It's absolutely 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 from a game library point of view, yeah, there's a lot of good shit in there. A lot of people talk endlessly about Breath of the Wild, about Mario Odyssey. Not really my thing. I'm not a big fan of the Zelda games. I've yet to play Odyssey, although it is on my list. But even just having the Switch as an indie game player it's just a game changer. It's just so, like, if anybody else tries to do what they did in making a portable game console that quickly connects to your TV and quickly comes back out with you in your bag, it's gonna be hard for anybody to even improve upon it. It'll be tiny incremental little improvements. Like, they went from the Wii to the Wii U to the Switch and just cracked it. They just figured everything out. I have to put it at an S. I want it to have more games that I like, and I think the UI has a bit of an issue with... No, it doesn't. I was going to say it has a bit of an issue with the fact that you can't customize it, but to be honest, every time I put it up, because the way that they've layered the game and app layer and all of the additional layers underneath it for like the store and stuff, I very rarely actually have to go looking for things. And it doesn't take long, and it feels nice enough to do it that it doesn't become an issue. It's literally just a button. It's not like the PlayStation where you hover over it and then there's like more options, and it's no, everything's contained, everything's neat. If you want access to more information about the thing that you're on top of, there's a dedicated button for that. Yeah. No, you know what? It's an S- because it doesn't quite have the game library that I want it to have. And I would never say that you should have, if you were going to say, which should I get? A PlayStation 4, an Xbox One, or a Switch? I'd say either of the two that isn't a Switch. A Switch is a great thing to have as a games console or an indie games player, but it's not like a Netflix player, YouTube player, or any of that. It does exactly what it needs to do. In terms of the GameCube, SNES, Switch, S tier brothers in arms, I think it earned the place. I absolutely think it earned the place there. Game Boy, boom. I don't think I even need to talk about it, to be honest. Because the only other Game Boy in here before we start getting to DS's is the Advance. I'm gonna include into this like the Game Boy Color and all that. Everybody had one. Everybody loved it. Everybody used it. Everybody felt good about it. The switch on the top of that particular Game Boy, the clicker one, I can even remember how that feels. The sound it made when it booted up, the pling, that, or the Game Boy Color, or any of the ones that played Pokemon or Tetris or Metroid. I mean, it's nailed it. And there's a reason it's like the biggest selling games console ever. Like the way it feels, like the way it holds, like the weight of it. There's something nice about the heft of an original Game Boy. And then I think about the Game Boy Color and all the ways that you could express yourself with the color of the one that you had. And, you know, some people had like the 2000s translucent colored ones that still just look fucking great. I just look at pictures of them and just go, oh man, look how fucking cool that is. Game Gear, never played. I personally think it's pretty much the same as the Game Boy, but in terms of the actual design, I don't like the way it looks. I didn't really like the way it feels in your hand. So I'm gonna put it there. I also had issues with the screen and the glare. Yeah. B's fine. It's still got the lineage. It's still got the games. It's still got the accessibility and the portability, but it just doesn't quite have that. Doesn't quite have that joy factor. And yeah, that's an N-Gage. That suits me fine. Boom. The DS's, so I never actually, I don't think I owned a DS, but I was always jealous of the ones who did, and I did play them. I borrowed them from my friends or whatever. I would say I get the distinct feeling that the joy I got from a Game Boy is equal to the joy that people got from their DS's. like the people of that age range and the people who had them. Uh, Experimental, cute, awesome exclusives. Even the throwaway ones that were silly were good. It tried loads. I mean, when they introduced the pen and everything, they were just like, let's, and the double screen, they were just like, let's fucking do this immediately. Like right from launch, they were just like, here's a bunch of cool rad little things that you can do with this. Pictograph or PictoChat or whatever. A 3DS. I think this thing is a beast. I think this thing is incredible technology. I think it feels really nice to hold. I love the thumbstick. I like the nice big screens. I think for Zelda fans, it's like a must-have. There were some seriously great fucking games on that thing, and it was innovative, and I just respect that. And the color palettes and everything were really nice for them. I think it just looks nice just to look at. It's a nice unit to have on your person. If you're going around, you got a backpack or you know, a satchel or something, or a purse, and you've just got a 3DS in there, like you're sorted, right? Yeah. PSP. I had a PSP and I had a PS Vita. How do I feel about the PSP now in 2020? How do I feel about it? Not amazing. I remember a lot of games that just never quite met the mark, that made it worthwhile. I think that's the word that is coming to my head is worthwhile. Was it worthwhile? I don't think it was. There was some really cool shit on the PSP, like Patapon, Metal Gear Acid. There's some really fucking cool stuff on the PSP. But actually, you know what? Thinking back, when I did get it originally, I remember thinking, holy shit, this is pretty fucking incredible that I'm playing games that look this good and that feel this robust and feel like a home console game experience somewhere else. But the battery life was shitty. The buttons on the top, like the clear plastic clicky shoulder buttons, were dog shit. You didn't have L1, L2, R1, R2. The thumbsticks were awful. I hated the thumbsticks. It was a good wee Tekken player, but yeah. I think I wanted a lot more for it. I wanted it to be able to be my dedicated music player, my dedicated game player. Like I could benefit from having this, while I was at high school. It never really met the mark. D. PS Vita, D. I mean, beautiful screen. It was a really nice screen, and I think it felt better to hold. It felt nicer to hold in my hands. It felt more upmarket than the PSP, but just that game library was dog shit. It just never got the support that it kind of deserved. I would love to see a PS Vita for the PS5 generation. I would love to see something that was fully supported and fully designed in a way that makes you feel like you can take your game from home, from your TV, to going out and then coming back and immediately throwing it back in your TV and not having to plug anything in or connect anything with like weird menus or anything. It's just as simple as the Switch. A PS5 with a dock on it that you just, and then you. I think that is like, it's the end of the PlayStation Portable saga, right? And like that kind of thing, fully supported, that looks and feels exactly like the PlayStation 5, would be like comfortably an A or B in theory. Game & Watch, I feel like I can't even really comment because I never played it in the era that it came out. Don't know what that is. Looks like a Famicom unit. NES, it's just a less good SNES. I like the flappy switch on the front, like the bit with the cartridge. Yeah, I like that. Controller, I hate. I really don't like that controller. This cuboid. No, in fact, yeah, let's be kind to it. And then yeah, I think these aren't really worth commenting on, to be honest. But yeah, am I comfortable with that? GameCube, hell yeah. SNES, hell yeah. Switch, yes. Game Boy, yes. Earned it. Yeah, I think casting my eye over these, I think some of these earned it. I think some of them deserve their low placement. In fact, you know what I'm gonna do? Add a row below. I think that'll do it for us. Holy shit, that's 40 minutes long. I'm sorry if you watched all of this. Bye.